He was just an old country doctor in a little Kentucky town. Fame and fortune had passed him by, but we never saw him frown, as day by day in his kindly way he served us one and all. Though many a patient forgot to pay, though Doc's fees were small. But old Doc Brown didn't seem to mind, he didn't even send out bills. His only ambition, it seemed, was to find a sure cure for aches and ills. Why, half the folks in my hometown, yes, I'm one of them too, were ushered in by old Doc Brown when we made our first debut. All he needed is dimes, and there were times that he'd receive a fee. He'd just pass it on to some poor soul that needed it worse than he. So when the Depression hit our little town and drained each meager purse, the scanty income of old Doc Brown just went from bad to worse. He had to sell all of his furniture, he couldn't even pay his office rent. So to a dusty room over a livery stable, Doc Brown and his satchel went. On the hitching post at the curb below, to advertise his wares, he nailed a little sign that read, "Doc Brown has moved upstairs." And there he kept on helping folks get well, and his heart was just pure gold. But anyone with eyes could see the Doc was getting old. Then one day he didn't even answer when they knocked upon his door, and old Doc Brown was a-lying down, but his soul was no more. They found him there in that old black suit, and on his face was a smile of content. But all the money they could find in him was a quarter and a copper cent. So they opened up his ledger, and what they saw gave their hearts a pull. Beside each debtor's name, old Doc had writ these words, "Paid in full." It looked like the potter's field for Doc, and that caused us some alarm, till someone remembered the family graveyard out on the Simmons farm. Old Doc had borne 6 of their children, and Simmons was a grateful cuss. He said, "Doc's been like one of the family, so you can let him sleep with us." Old Doc should have had a funeral fine enough for a king. It's a ghastly broke that our town was broke and no one could give a thing. Except Jones the undertaker, he did mighty well. Donated an old iron casket he'd never been able to sell. The funeral procession, it wasn't much for grace and pomp and style, but those wagon loads of mourners, they stretched out for more than a mile. And we breathed a prayer as we laid him there to rest beneath the sod, this man who'd earned the right to be on speaking terms with God. His grave was covered with flowers, but not from the floral shops, just roses and things from folks' backyards and 1 or 2 dandelion tops. For the Depression had hit our little town hard, and each man carried a load, so some just picked the wildflowers as they walked along the road. We wanted to give him a monument. We kind of figured we owed him one, 'cause he'd made our town a better place for all the good he'd done. But monuments cost money, so we did the best we could. And on his grave, we gently placed a monument of wood. We pulled up that old hitching post where Doc had nailed his sign. We painted it white, and to all of us, it certainly did look fine. Now the rains and snows have washed away our white trimmings of paint. There ain't nothing left but Doc's own sign, and that is getting faint. Still, when southern breezes and twinkling stars caress our sleeping town, and the pale moon shines through Kentucky pines on the grave of old Doc Brown, you can still see that old hitching post as if in answer to our prayers, mutely telling the whole wide world, Doc Brown has moved upstairs.